You see, for many of us, a brand new Lamborghini or Porsche might just be a pipe dream. And that's okay, because when it comes to practicality and budget-friendly options, there are plenty of cars out there to choose from. But here's the thing, even those options might seem out of reach for all now. Why, you ask? Well, it all comes down to the rocky terrain of the economy. You see, the car market is in a bit of a pickle right now. People are finding it harder and harder to afford their car loans, let alone think about buying a brand new car outright. And who's feeling the squeeze the most? You guessed it, the middle class, and the loans are now rejected. If you take a closer look at the current economic landscape, you'll see the storm clouds are gathering on the horizon. We've long moved past the days when owning a car was just a luxury for American households. It's become a staple of the American lifestyle, from the bustling streets of New York City to the sun-soaked highways of California. While living expenses continue to climb higher and higher, and that, my friends, has created a gaping chasm that's becoming increasingly difficult for families to bridge. As rumours of recession swirl around, it's no wonder that the once favourable economic outlook has taken a turn for the pessimistic. And let's not forget about the automobile industry. They've had their fair share of turmoil to contend with as well, with inflation rearing its ugly head and economic uncertainty lurking around every corner. The prices of automobile materials have skyrocketed. The pandemic was a time of uncertainty and upheaval for industries around the globe, including the automobile sector. As the world braced for what seemed like an impending crash, car manufacturers found themselves facing a unique challenge: a shortage of semiconductor chips. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal about semiconductor chips? Well, these little pieces of silicone are the magic key required for the smooth functioning of any electrical gadgets or products, including cars. And with demand plummeting during the pandemic, manufacturers made the tough decision to slow down production to avoid being stuck with excess inventory. But semiconductor chips aren't just crucial for your run-of-the-mill cars. Oh no, they're also a vital component of electric vehicles, and so the EV sector found itself in the same boat as the conventional car sector, grappling with production slowdowns and supply chain disruptions. But it wasn't just semiconductor chips causing headaches for the automobile industry. Car parts and raw materials required to manufacture conventional cars also faced production limits, further exacerbating the situation. So as the pandemic raged on, car manufacturers found themselves navigating choppy waters, trying to balance supply and demand in an ever-changing landscape. While the road ahead may be rocky, one thing's for certain: the automobile industry is nothing if not resilient. With demand soaring and supply struggling to keep pace, it was only natural that prices would skyrocket. What was once a humble purchase now became a significant financial burden for consumers worldwide. And if that wasn't enough, rising interest rates only added fuel to the fire, making the prospect of purchasing a new car even more daunting. So where does that leave the average consumer? Caught between a rock and a hard place, it seems. In recent years, there's been a growing focus on addressing carbon emissions, both from consumers and authorities alike. This heightened awareness has fueled the demand for eco-friendly transportation options, giving electric vehicles a significant advantage in the market. And boy did they make an entrance. Transitioning from a traditional oil-based car to an EV may have seemed like a daunting task initially. However, contrary to expectations, the switch wasn't as challenging as many had anticipated. In fact, the price hike for EVs was relatively modest, with only a 25% increase observed on average. But here's the kicker: the benefits far outweighed the costs. Given these advantages, it's no surprise that consumers naturally gravitated towards electric vehicles over conventional ones. But here's where things get interesting. Even the EV sector faced challenges, particularly with the decreased availability of semiconductors. As demand surged, manufacturers struggled to keep up, leading to inevitable price hikes. Big players in the industry like Toyota and Nissan have sounded the alarm, warning that prices won't be returning to pre-pandemic levels anytime soon. Back in 2017, you could snag yourself a brand new car for a modest $36,000. Fast forward to 2023, and you're looking at shelling out over $50,000 for the same ride. That's a jaw-dropping leap of nearly 14 times the original price. From 2017 to 2023, wages have only seen a modest increase, from $62,000 to $64,000. With inflation, high interest rates and rumours of recession looming overhead, It's no wonder that household budgets are feeling the strain. But here's where things get tricky. Many folks find themselves caught in a vicious cycle of borrowing and debt. With car loans stretching out over longer periods, the amount owed only continues to climb. Meanwhile, the value of the car diminishes over time, leaving borrowers saddled with a hefty debt and a depreciating asset. It's a tough pill to swallow, no doubt about it, but amidst the chaos and uncertainty, one thing remains clear. The need for affordable transportation options has never been greater. Whether it's through innovative financing solutions or government intervention, we need to find a way to make car ownership accessible for all. After all, shouldn't the freedom to hit the open road be within reach for everyone, regardless of their financial circumstances? The struggle to afford a car is becoming an uphill battle for many, with repairs now out of the question due to exorbitant costs. Even big names in the automotive industry like Ford and General Motors are scaling back production of less expensive models, exacerbating the gap between supply and demand. And for those who finance their car purchases with loans, the situation is looking dire. With demand far outpacing supply, many are finding themselves underwater on their loans, trapped in a cycle of debt. But it's not just car ownership that's becoming unattainable for the average American household. With recession concerns looming on the horizon, families are facing mounting pressure on all fronts. From skyrocketing utility bills to the ever-increasing cost of education for their children. And as corporate giants scramble to cut costs in anticipation of an economic downturn, mass layoffs have become all too common. Just think about it. Companies like Amazon, Tesla, Uber, Microsoft and Google, once seen as pillars of stability, are now wielding the axe with abandon, leaving countless workers out in the cold. And for those who suddenly find themselves without a job, the financial strain is unbearable. With banks tightening their grip and loan repayments looming large, many are left scrambling to make ends meet with little hope of relief in sight. Middle-class families across the nation are feeling the squeeze, with car loans and other monthly payments only adding fuel to the fire. What was once manageable has now become a source of anxiety, with many consumers struggling to make ends meet. It's not just a few isolated cases. No, this is a widespread issue that's plaguing the entire nation, reflecting the harsh reality of our deteriorating economic climate. And as if things couldn't get any worse, a new trend has emerged on the horizon: missed car payments. As optimism begins to take root and families find solace in the promise of better days ahead, a sudden twist emerges. A development that could change everything. But alas, my friends, that's a tale for another time. Are you planning to buy a car anytime soon? Well, you can follow the 1/10 rule for purchasing a car. It might be possible for you to navigate through this economic slowdown. To find out more about it, hit the subscribe button and turn on the post notification. Till next time, see you around.